What's going on, my PT peeps, my Walking Dead family, and my fighters? I'm One Eye Bry, also known as PT. Don't know if I'm winking or blinking, but I'm definitely thinking about The Walking Dead Season 11, Episode 15, titled Trust. Spoiler warning for all things Walking Dead. A showdown is coming with Leah and the Commonwealth versus Hilltop, Maggie, our group. Can't wait to see it. Season 11, Episode 16 next week on AMC Plus, the mid-season finale. But what did you think, guys? I enjoyed Season 11, Episode 15, but it starts with Toby. Well, I guess zombified dead Toby. And the Commonwealth goes to the Riverbend to check out what happened here. It's an investigation. And Daryl isn't wearing the armor. Then he wears the armor. Then he isn't wearing the armor again. But it's like a crime scene. So the Commonwealth is trying to figure out what happened here. We know what happened. And we know that Aaron is lying to Lance about what happened. We don't see Negan, Annie, and her group, but we see Lance interrogating or trying to find out what actually happened here. He's not buying it. Like the entire episode, Lance is not buying what our group is telling him, but he can't prove it. And I have to say, like, Lance is really the main character that we're watching, besides Mercer, that we're watching from the Commonwealth. And he's a definitely different character than I thought he was going to be, because I thought he was going to be a role player and we would see Pamela Milton do more. But Lance is really calling the shots. He's not believing what Aaron and Father G are saying. Thou shalt not lie, right? But it's all about staying alive. You see, Daryl is still our group, our team. He's playing the game as a Commonwealth trooper for Judith and RJ. But Lance has always got that stare. And then he's like, whoa, 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 I never said anything like that. He's playing both sides. He's trying to be tough. He's like Two-Face. 1 minute he's tough, next he's nice. But we all know that Daryl and our group are not buying what Lance is selling, but they need each other. You got to play the game to stay alive. And Lance is not believing at all what Aaron and Father G say, because it doesn't add up. Like, it really doesn't. But Lance has to find the proof. Then we see it's 5:45 in the morning, red lights, right? We know, relax, it's just a joke. But we see that Mercer and Princess are getting it on. Well, we don't see it happen, but they talk about it over and over again, and they just did it yesterday, and I guess they're a couple, but Princess likes Mercer, and Mercer likes Princess, but you can see Mercer is guarded, and that's kind of the whole conversation. Princess tries to figure out what's going on with Mercer, as she likes him, she wants to trust him, she wants to build a relationship, but he basically shuts her out. Then he has to go to work, and Princess is like, great. So we've all been there where you want to, not really jump in with somebody right away because of past relationships or bad experiences, but Mercer comes around in the episode. We see that Connie and Kelly come to Rosita and Eugene, and they're building a case to put it in the paper and spread the word. Now, there's something here I definitely want to talk about, because we see Connie and Kelly bring the list, and they share the list after getting the information from Rosita, and we see the name right there where the thumb is, April Martins. In this episode 11:15, it's April Martins, Kirk Riley, Tommy Haas, Tyler Davis. But in 11:11, it's April Kelly. So what are you doing, Walking Dead? That's an easy thing that you should not have happened. But again, April Martins, April Kelly, is it a mess up? For sure, because on one episode, the paper said one last name, and here it says another. Not sure what they're doing here, but it's like, come on, guys, get your act together. But it's not that big a deal. The big thing here is that Connie and Kelly are aware of the Sebastian thing. Rosita sees the list, and she's like, well, this is way more people than what Sebastian had for getting the money out of the house, so something else is going on here. Could be traded to the CRM. Then we see the educational hall. Well, the school, I guess, right? And if you look closely, you see the Commonwealth sign there, the recruitment. They're like, yeah, good pay, service, great housing. You're like, man, they're trying to really get people to join the military. And I'm guessing the educational hall is where other people go to school too, not just the kids. But it's cool to see Carol taking care of the kids. Then Ezekiel shows up to get Carol out of the rain because Judith takes the umbrella. But it's good to see Ezekiel is doing well after the surgery, which is always a good thing. The kids love him. How do you not love Ezekiel, right? I think Carol doesn't want to get close to Ezekiel again from the past, but also her past from other relationships. Like, she doesn't want to get too close to somebody because she could lose them. But we see that it's an educational hall, not school. So I'm guessing there's going to be adults and people going to school there too, maybe trades they learn. But it's good to see Ezekiel and Carol together in a relationship whether they're romantic or not, it's good to see them talking. I think it's good for the show. I do like them as a couple, or at least being cordial to each other. People are complaining that it's a soap opera. It's always been a soap opera. The Walking Dead has always been a soap opera. Now, I love this Walker kill right here. It's a simple kill with the bayonet being used. Awesome. And then Daryl fires a shot, poof, takes out the walkers. You see that Lance was like, I hope these walkers kill these two, well, three, because Daryl joined the fight. I love when Daryl kicked the walker head. He's like, hey, we saved you a bullet. Poof, and he kicks the head and it rolls right to Lance. You definitely love the animosity, well, at least I do. I love the animosity with Daryl versus Lance, and really Daryl and the Commonwealth way. Daryl is trying to play nice, but he's fighting against the Commonwealth way so much. But Lance is like, hey, you didn't break a sweat. Way to do it, guys. I guess you are tough after all. Again, he's tough and stern, and then he's like, hey, I'm on your side, right? You know, Daryl and our group is not buying it, but they have to play the game. Daryl wearing the loose-fitting armor, it just looks odd and weird on Daryl, and it's the point, I guess, so he stands out so we know which one is Daryl. But Daryl is not wearing his helmet, and then he's forced to wear it because Lance is like, you gotta put your helmet on. Listen to me. What I say goes. He's being authoritarian. I would love to see our group, like Negan and whoever, steal some Commonwealth armor and just jump into the Commonwealth army and then take over things. Will they do that in part 3? Let me know your thoughts, post your comments below. But Daryl rocking the goggles and the helmet, it just looks off. But we see that they go to the hilltop to talk with Maggie. We knew they were going to go there because Lance said so. But again, just look at Daryl wearing this. It looks off for him, and it's supposed to, but every time I watch it, I'm like, man, that is just, what is Daryl doing? Tommy, yes, Tommy is how they say his name, and we see that he's self-medicating and drinking alcohol because he lost a patient, and he's probably stressed to the max. He probably figured out that you don't want to be a doctor in the Walking Dead universe because it doesn't bode well. We could lose Tommy this season, part 2 or part 3 for sure. But he hides the bottle and the medication as Ezekiel comes in, and he's like, hey, Doc, how we doing? He comes on in. He's always got a smile on his face. He's concerned here for Tommy, but we're going to see that Tommy and Ezekiel work together. They're pretty good with each other. I like this dynamic for sure. I mean, I like Ezekiel in general, but Tommy is not doing well. And, you know, this is why he stopped being a surgeon, because it's very stressful. He's got people's lives in their hands. Ezekiel says, I need your help. It's a simple procedure. It's an appendectomy. Can you help me? And it's not for him. It's a friend of his. I love this. Like, Eugene is hiding, like, yeah, this bag of food. No one will see me. But he's delivering the food to Max because he needs Max's help to figure out what's going on with the Miltons, Sebastian Milton, Pamela Milton, and the Commonwealth. After talking with Connie and Kelly and Rosita, he's going to need Max's help, that's for sure. I wonder if Pamela Milton is in on it, or we haven't really seen much of her. Is she just playing ignorant, or does she know what's going on? Max and Eugene, I love Max's face. She's like, over here, come on, this way. So then Eugene walks away, and it's just a funny thing. Like they're hiding, but they're not really doing anything. If someone watched what was going on, they could clearly figure out that they were talking. But they go into an office. I'm not sure if it's Max's office or just a room, but you see that Eugene tells Max about the Sebastian thing, that the Miltons are connected with some pretty bad stuff, and Max is surprised. So I don't know if Pamela Milton knows what's going on, because if she did, then I think Max would. So it's probably Lance pulling the strings. We know that Lance has got his hands in a bunch of cookie jars. Maybe Pamela Milton is actually ignorant to the fact of what's actually going on with Sebastian because she doesn't want to pay him any mind. This guy pops in. He's like, hey, what's going on here? And they play it off like, hey, you can have the room. No problem. Max gives, Eugene some money for the food, and then they get out of there. Max runs away with the food, and then Eugene's like, okay, I guess I should go. Gotta love the ponytail that he's rocking there. Is that actually Josh McDermott's real hair, or is it an extension? Or I guess extensions. Then we're at the hilltop with the Commonwealth, and I guess they knew they were coming, or the scouts saw them, or they blew the horn or something. They were like, the Commonwealth's coming, troopers are coming. But we finally get this scene caught up with 1109. At the end of it, 6 months later, we see that Maggie doesn't want to let Lance in, and Lance wants to use force to get in there and find out what's going on. But it's Daryl that tries to calm the stuff down. He's like, hey, trust me, let them in so they can just look around and be gone. Then we see Mercer working out, and it was a cool scene, but it was kind of an odd sequence. Like, he's working out by himself, and then there's a lot going on. Like, he's grunting and groaning and working out, and then the dialogue with Max, and I guess his name's Michael. It's Michael James Shaw in real life, but he's doing agility stuff and he's working out by himself. You would think he'd have a workout partner or a trainer, But Mercer is definitely jacked. We see Michael James Shaw is in good shape, but we see that Max is trying to convince Mercer to step up and help. And Mercer knows everything. And he's like, I can't fix everything. I can't do this, because if I go away, other people are going to die. But eventually he's going to step up and be a part of it. You're going to have Max and Eugene, Mercer and Princess, Connie and Kelly, the Resistance, if that ever comes up again, which it should. And I love the idea when Max was like, yeah, people look up to you. Literally, there's posters of you all over this, and it says, do your part. Mercer, do your part. And we got Tommy and Ezekiel stealing medical supplies from the hospital for the surgery that Tommy is going to do on Teresa at Ezekiel's makeshift veterinary hospital for people. So it's going to be a hospital that I guess they're doing black market surgery or whatever you want to call it. And I just have a feeling like Tommy's going to die. He doesn't die in this episode. He may die in 1116 or part 3. But as they leave the room, they drop the bag as he runs into a Commonwealth trooper and a bag of supplies, and they get arrested. Then we go from the Commonwealth back to Hilltop. And this whole sequence is like over dramatic, and is Lance going to figure out? Is Lance going to put 2 and 2 together? Yes, Lance has already put 2 and 2 together, but he can't prove it. So even if the truck started and he's checking the tires and checking this and checking that, it doesn't put Maggie there at all, right? Maggie said it didn't work, and Maggie's smart enough to unplug the starter cable and do this to make it not work, which is very smart because they were probably going to come here anyway. But then there's a thing with Herschel that doesn't make much sense, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But we see that Lance is checking out the engine. He's like, yeah, this is pretty good here, that's good there, and he knows how all this stuff works. He's the gearhead, he knows how to fix stuff. Lance, knows how to do some things, but he figures it out about the starter cable. And I know a lot of people were like, oh man, he's gonna figure it out. But again, even if the truck started, it doesn't put Maggie there. If she said she's not there, what difference does it make? I don't know. But again, we need some drama. We need to have the whole dynamic. Like, Lance is going to figure out what happens. Again, he already knows. He just has to figure it out. They'd love to do this movie show trope where you put keys in the visor, the sunshade, you're like, no, that's not there. Keys are never there, only in shows. But either way, he puts down the sunshade, the sun visor, and the keys drop in his hand perfectly. He tries to start it up, and it's like, I'm going to start it. No, watch me. I'm going to start it. Nothing. Then we see Tommy and Ezekiel, and Tommy is scared. And Ezekiel's like, man, we'll be all right. They got nothing, right? But you see Tommy is so freaked out and worried. He's a worrywart, and Ezekiel's the king of cool right here. He's a cool dude. And he's like, yeah. Tommy's like, we're going to figure out what are we going to do. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then the door opens, and we think Tommy and Ezekiel are going to be in trouble. But Carol comes out, and I don't know what Carol's new position is, but she's already high ranking. She's up there with Lance on some level, and they mention her new job, and she's got some status because she gets the keys to the handcuffs from the Commonwealth troopers, and they're like, oh, okay, I guess so. So she just goes in, uncuffs Tommy and Ezekiel, and look at Tommy and look at Ezekiel. Ezekiel's like, yeah, I name dropped you, and it worked. Tommy's like, are we in trouble? Are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? It's just like night and day, yin and yang. It's pretty funny. And you just got to love Ezekiel. It's like, see, not everything's all bad. Even when it's bad, it's this. It's actually good. So then we get to go to the veterinary hospital or the vet clinic or basically the zoo. Ezekiel's in charge of the animals. These are his alpacas or llamas, whatever they are. But it reminded me a lot of Noah's Ark. We see a lot of 2 kinds of animals. We see the 2 alpacas, we see the 2 horses, we see the 1 mini horse, and then we see like 4 goats. But it just kind of reminded me that he's kind of having a bunch of different animals here, which is good to see. And I have to say, I believe this is right in Sonoy, right across from Alexandria. And it's also could be the same location where they had the governor's chamber with Andrea. But I could be wrong. I know they filmed around that same location, but we see the goats, and it was kind of cool to see Ezekiel setting up his own little kingdom, his own little farm, his own little area. But as they walk in, and we see the mini horse walk in front of them, it was just kind of cool to see Ezekiel doing his own thing here. He's been a busy guy. Every day's a gift. He's got a new lease on life, and he's going to get stuff done and pay it back to people. It's just pretty cool. And I love to see this here, the veterinary treatment area. But wouldn't the Commonwealth still check it out? Like, yeah, they'll still go see what's going on here. We see that Tommy is confused, and he asks, is my patient a person or is it an animal? But it's just kind of funny. We see all these different patients. Ezekiel's been a busy guy. We see the nurse that actually was there involved with Ezekiel's surgery when they were talking about the pizza and pineapple pizza and stuff like that too. Same guy right there. And it's just cool to see that Ezekiel, and it's like our group is doing their own thing inside this huge Commonwealth community. Like, would they actually be able to do that? But there's so many people there. How can you actually watch over everything? Ezekiel goes, hey, baby, how you doing, man? You know, he's a man of the people. He used to run his own group and own community, so he's a man of the people, that's for sure. Mercer is waiting for Princess, and I love the dialogue between them here. I just kind of wish they went inside the room and not in the hallway, because they were talking about some pretty different stuff, and you don't know who's listening. But when I saw the peace sign, the 2 minutes, reminding me of Abraham and Sasha, I know it's different. It's not the same scenario and setting, but it reminded me of that, that's for sure. But when we see Mercer letting his guard down to Princess, so we got to see Mercer and Princess coming together in a relationship, that they're going to work on it together. And again, I love the dialogue. I love that Princess is there for Mercer, and Mercer lets his guard down. But he was talking about the stuff with Sebastian and how he killed the 2 guards. Well, I mean, the Commonwealth troopers. Princess kisses Mercer, just like later on, Eugene kisses Max. And I see a similar dynamic that Max and Mercer are going to help our group. And it's obvious that Max and Mercer are going to help take down the Commonwealth. And they did mention again in the episode that there's 50,000 people there. So if you put 50,000 people against, I don't know how many people run the Commonwealth, Lance, Pamela Milton, 2, 5, maybe 10, 20 people, the 50,000 is going to win. It's a numbers game. And it's good to see that Princess and Mercer are going to do things together, just like Max and Eugene are going to do things together and be there for each other. This is a great scene. It's a bad scene, but a good scene, that Herschel Rhee is at the grave of Glenn. We're guessing. It's not really marked or told what Herschel is doing, but we're guessing that he's looking at his father's grave. It's full circle. You know, look at all the graves at Hilltop. It's kind of fitting that Glenn is buried there with Maggie. And as Herschel is walking, you know, to the front, Lance pops out of nowhere. Like, Lance is always there. Like, he's always like, hello, where's Lance? But Lance is going to try to figure out what's going on. And again, he needs proof. He knows what happened, but can you prove it? It's what you prove, not what you know, what you can prove. Herschel's actually pretty smart. He's not talking. He's probably told not to say anything. And then the hat is really what gets me, is that Lance finds the hat at Riverbend. And he puts it on Herschel's head, and it fits perfect. You're like, okay, perfect fit. He's like, look at that, perfect fit. Yeah. But he got his hat knocked off in 11/14 at the Riverbend. Then Negan killed his Commonwealth trooper, and Herschel, you're telling me they took over the building, right? They took all the Commonwealth troopers out. You couldn't get the hat? Come on, they should be smarter than that. Elijah slams Lance against the brick, and Maggie and Daryl come to save Herschel, and you can see that Daryl is pointing his gun at the troopers. So again, Daryl is Team Maggie, Team our group. He's a Commonwealth trooper, but he's not rocking the armor anymore. And Maggie points his gun at Lance. So we get to see again more drama, more problems here. And Maggie's like, yeah, the people that have came after my family and done this, most of them are dead right now. But then you see that Daryl points his gun at Lance. And it's kind of subtle, and it's not really a big deal, but Daryl drops the F-bomb. And it's on AMC, and you're only allowed to say so many F-bombs, but Daryl drops it there. And Lance can tell that Daryl is not really a Commonwealth trooper. He is, but he isn't. And Maggie keeps her gun pointed at Lance. Lance tells the Commonwealth troopers to lower their guns. They do. And you can see that Lance right here is like, yep, I'm going to have to take this lady out. Can't trust them. Can't work with it. And sorry, we couldn't be friends. So Lance is going to have to do something pretty bad. I don't know. He's not going to kill Maggie or kill Daryl, but will he kill Aaron or someone like that? Possibly, potentially, probably something's got to happen. But Lance and the Commonwealth soldiers leave Hilltop. Daryl, Aaron, Father Gabriel leave too. And then day turns to night. Around the fire, Daryl says, we're not going back to the Commonwealth. We're going to stay out and keep looking for the guns, looking for stuff here, looking for what happened. Father Gabriel and Aaron are like, man, I bet your Father Gabriel's like, man, I should not have went on this trip. I could be at my church right now. I could be back home with Rosita and Coco. Why did I sign up? Thanks, Aaron. Thanks a lot. But they say they're going to stay out in the woods to keep looking around. The Commonwealth trooper comes over to Lance, and they go out to look for something. Then we see Ezekiel and Carol talking, catching up, and they have their nice moments yet again. Then complications with the surgery. And here, just what jumps out at me right away is like, come on, Tommy, you're a doctor. Glove up. Gloves. Every time I see it, where are the gloves? And it's crazy that I believe the director of this episode, per Angela Kang, said that she worked for ER for like so many years. First thing would be like, you got to make this look right. It's not a medical show by any means, but it just drives me a little crazy. Not too much, but I got to mention it, that's for sure. But they're having complications from the appendectomy. And it's funny because Ezekiel said before, it's a little surgery, minor surgery. It's not a big deal. We got a big open wound right there, and it's definitely a big deal. I mean, they're working on this lady to remove her appendix and, to avoid this person from dying. But I mean, look at this giant wound right here. Yeah, it's a small little thing. Don't worry about it. Nah, that's a giant wound. No matter if it's a zombie apocalypse or not, they pulled out this little chunk of beef right here. Now, I guess that's part of the appendix or the appendix. I don't even know how big the appendix is, but they're working. And look at Ezekiel's face right there. He's like, oh man, this better work out. And it looks to be growing good. They sew her up, patch her up, do what they do there. Again, yet no gloves, blood all over the gown. And Tommy says, yep, we'll find out in 24 hours how it goes. But right now, everything looks great. And again, Ezekiel's line is like, yeah, see, Doc? Just a minor surgery. Tommy laughs. And I wonder if this surgery is going to get Tommy in trouble because he's a doctor. And we know that doctors do not last very long on The Walking Dead. Max goes to see Eugene. Eugene and Max talk. After Max has talked to Mercer, they're going to figure out what to do. And it's about time we have Max and Eugene on the same page because they've been building up for a little bit here. Before they were like, oh, I don't know. How could you not know? You can't trust me. How did you know about it? Wasn't the real Stephanie, blah, blah, blah. What's going to happen with the fake Stephanie, right? Shira, like what's going to happen with those people? We're never going to see them again. I could see that happening, right? But either way, Max and Eugene are building their bond. Whatever we do, whatever comes your way, we're going to do it together. Just basically like Princess and Mercer, or Michael, and Max and Eugene. So it's very similar in a lot of ways. Max asks, so what do I need to steal? And that should be hopefully next week into part 3, because again, season 11, episode 16 is a mid-season finale. Then we see Leah in the woods cleaning the gun. And as she's cleaning the gun, she hears the Commonwealth troopers. After I watched it for a second time, I was like, yeah, it's pretty obvious that the Commonwealth troopers were coming. Leah leaves the gun right there. And then she goes into her tent, and Leah's smart. I believe she's alone. I think it's just Leah by herself. I don't think any of the Reapers survived, but hopefully it's answered next week. So the Commonwealth troopers go to the tent, and, we think that Leah's going to be in the tent, but, Leah's smarter than that. Leah is special forces. She's really smart. These Commonwealth troopers are pretty dumb. They have bad aim. They're basically stormtroopers in this universe, but we see that the tent is a decoy. She's not in there. And as the Commonwealth troopers are standing around, we see that she wounds 2 Commonwealth troopers. I feel like she did it on purpose because she could have had some kill shots, but she hits one in the foot and then one in the arm because it's better to wound your opponents so other people have to attend to them. Then Lance comes out of the woods and says, hey, don't shoot. You're hard to find. At least hear me out. And it's basically Lance giving Leah a job, which is kind of like the comic. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's Leah is going to be recruited for Lance. And again, Lance is trying to stay alive. He's trying to also get stuff accomplished, what he wants to do, taking out Maggie and Hilltop. So Leah is going to be recruited, or is recruited by Lance to take out Maggie. And we're going to have a showdown with Leah and Maggie. Well, probably Leah and Daryl. And that's the end of the episode. Reminds me a lot of when Pamela Milton went to the Saviors, tried to recruit them. So is it the same kind of thing? And also, I can't wait for Mercer and Princess to team up and take out some people. Should be awesome. Thank you guys. I truly appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, support the PT channel any way that you can. You can do that in a couple of different ways. We have a Patreon. Just being a subscriber really helps. Either way, I truly appreciate all love and support. It means the world to me. Stay safe. And as always, tell them Daryl.